Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and we're just a couple of days away from the full release of Union Arena here in North America, and I'm super excited about it. And because of that, I have been working on quite a few deck lists for this game in general, and I want to share a couple of the HunterXHunter ones specifically that I've been working on today in this video. A couple of things though before we get started. First, if you guys enjoy these videos, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe. I really do appreciate it, and it does mean to me that you guys do appreciate the Union Arena content. Also, if you guys want any of the deck lists, you can find them on my website Eggman Events, which is linked in the description. It's on the Wave 1 team deck list, which if you go to the main page for Wave 1 while we're waiting for events, it's up here. Or if you click the Wave 1 at the top of my deck builder as well, that'll be linked to this one. So we did a video going over some Bleach decks, so we're going to go over some Hunter. Also, a friend of the channel, Cosmic, also has been working on a lot of videos too, so make sure to check out on his builds for HunterXHunter. I did put them on the page too, so you guys can check it out, just because I want to have a lot more just builds and some diversity for it too. So make sure to check out his video. But for our video today, we're going to go over 5 different deck lists, just because I feel like there's a lot more like diversity in some of the colors compared to Bleach. I feel like Bleach is pretty, you know, single archetype sometimes. Like you can kind of mix and match, but I feel like they're more kind of defined for HunterXHunter. So I do want to go over that. We'll just go over one green deck, Kurapika, which I think is just the best for the builds anyways. But we will go over the 2 blue decks of the Blue Bombers in the specified slot, and then also the Phantom Troupe as well as the Zoldyck family for this one. But we're going to start off with the Kurapika, which I do think Kurapika is going to be one of, if not the best decks in this little format of Bleach and HunterXHunter, being the only 2 IPs that exist for right now. All depends on this 7-drop Kurapika raid card. So 7 energy is quite a bit for this game, but it does have impact 1 and also 1 play. Choose one of the following. Choose up to one of your opponent's characters on their front line. It gets switched to rest, or this character gains snipe, which is pretty strong. So being able to attack into something, get rid of it, and then also you have impact with it. Plus we're a 5k body, so that not only means a lot for offense, but also for defense, because it's going to be very hard for this card to get removed outside of like a special trigger. And then also the fact that you're able to use this card and just, you know, have a big 5k impact for a lot of the game. So I think this is something that's worth building up to, and there is a good amount of support for green to kind of help that. We have a lot of good double energy. We have some of the like casual targets of it, for example, like the Leorio. We have the Satas, just in case we need to bump up to an extra energy to get there as well. And we have the Netro, which just gives us 2 energy anyway, so that's really nice after the first turn it's played. And then after that, we do have like our own Kurapika. This from the star deck, and it's also searchable. We have Leorio, and really just kind of depending on this Gone is kind of some of the ratios for this. Since it finds Killua, Kurapika, and Leorio with 4 or less. So unfortunately, it doesn't find our top end, but being able to find a bunch of double energy targets, I think is good. And then our top end, we do have the 5-drop Kurapika, which is our color trigger for this one. If you have 6 or more energy generation, this gains impact 1, which should be pretty standard for most of the mid to late game. And when played and when attacking, look at the top card of your deck and place it at the top or bottom. So you get a little bit of cycle as well, which I think is really important. And then obviously this can raid into our 7-drop. We also have Neon, which is a really strong card for this deck too. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 character card among them, add to your hand. The revealed character is a character with a 1 AP cost. You have the required enemy. You can play it set to active or perform raid instead of adding it to your hand. So just being able to play it active just means that you can attack with this. You get to play 2 bodies for it, and this is a double energy. So only issue is that, you know, it's an action cost of 2, but you're playing 2 things, so you don't really matter. But you're also only a 2k BP, so nothing like really big on the defense side, but being able to do that. So it is also random, so maybe you need to use like this Kurapika to kind of filter and make sure you have maybe a card that you need, but I think in general it's pretty strong. So other than that, final trigger and also the Emperor Time Absolute Mastery. So this is our special trigger. Choose 1 card in your field against 3000 BP, and when this character attacks and wins a battle, draw a card. Till the end of the turn, if the chosen character is Kurapika, it gains snipe. So what you're able to do with this is that you're able to just make a really big snipe target. Also, if a character with 5k or more BP is on your field, this gains impact 1, so you're able to use this as well. So something I haven't mentioned too is that Union Arena for HunterXHunter, we got 3, technically 6, but 3 of them are vanillas. So 3 impactful new cards for this. So this 2-drop Kurapika that we get in our set, which was a promo in Japan, does mean that we can use this with the Emperor time. So then we convert this into a 6k impact 1 with snipe. So we get rid of a card, we get to deal damage with it, and it's generally pretty strong. So I do like that synergy with it, and I think that can be very strong. And maybe even bump this up to 4 and this one down to 3, but not quite there yet. But this also means that if you just happen to have your 7 drop, you get that boost too. But I think it's a good card for the deck and helps out a lot. So this is the build here for the Kurapika, and I do again think green is the strongest color that we're going to get for Hunter x Hunter, but we'll see if that's true in the next couple weeks. Next up, we're going to go over our 2 blue decks, starting with the Bomber one of the 2 of them. This is a pretty interesting deck. It kind of revolves around using cards with action costs of 2 or more and putting them to the top of our deck to get additional effects. So the whole idea, if we just look at our raid card of Genthro, is raid, reveal the top card of your deck. If the reveal card has 2 or more required energy, choose up to 1 character with 3k or less BP on your opponent's front line and sideline it, then place the reveal card on the top or bottom of your deck. So which means you could reveal something and it's not that, and you could put it to the bottom. But that's kind of like the entire objective of this deck. And honestly, like, I've been tinkering with this build a lot, and don't be surprised that between even like releasing this video and now, like, it's going to change. Right? I feel like I'm going to change it as soon as I'm done recording this part for it. But there's just like a lot of different cards you want to go for it. You can always kind of go a little bit into the specified slot version of this build too, which I think is important. And I think there's kind of like some neat little combos you can do, and that's kind of where we're at right now. But honestly, something else too is that I want to like really use less 0 drops. The 0 drops for blue aren't super great for this one. We're playing 10, which is still kind of on the low side, but I almost want to go down to 8 at times. I feel like just Gone and Get Throw will just be there. If we don't find it, we just go for it again. But I think they're just kind of okay. We have the sub here, which lets us look for a Bomber Infinity, which includes himself or risky dice to place the remaining at the bottom. And if you add a card, you get to place 1 from your hand into your sideline. We have our Bara as well. Activate main to front line. Once returned, reveal the top card of your deck. If it has a cost of 2 or more required energy, you can choose something with 15k power or more, and it loses 1,000, and then place the revealed on top or bottom once again. So you could do like a combo where this is on the front line. You use the effect, give something minus 1,000, and then you can raid into Genthro and then use its effect to get rid of a 3k or less. So you can get rid of a 4k or less with that kind of combo there, which is kind of nice. So we're running 4 copies of that. You can also use the effect of the bar here and then use the Genthro effect of draw a card. You place 1 card from the top. If you do, choose up to 1 with 3k power or less and return it to their hand. So unfortunately, it doesn't like the order for these 2 are reversed with the color trigger for it, but it can still kind of work out if you have another card. We're also kind of going a little bit into the specified slot engine, and mostly just because we do need to have some targets for Bisky here. So when played, reveal any number of cards in your hand, choose up to 1 character in your opponent's front line with BP equal to or less than 1,000 multiplied by the number of specified slot affinity cards with unique names among the revealed cards and on your field to sideline. So for example, let's say we have 3 different specified slot cards between our field and our hand that we reveal. We can get rid of a 3k or less, right? So I think that's kind of pretty good. It's also a 2 cost action card, so because of the our release, we have 10 cards that have action cost of 2. So I think that's enough. I do think he can like go super into Bisky, but the issue with that is that you kind of have the reverse synergy where you won't have as many cards that have specified slot. Right now we're playing 4 different cards with unique names for it. So we have Risky Dice, which I'm down to 2 copies. I started off at 4, but this card's not honestly that great. Like, sure, you get like a free 1,000. I wish it was more of give something minus 1,000. I think that would work better with a lot of your things, but it gives one of your cards plus 1,000, but you really don't have like a good way to take advantage of it, unfortunately, especially since none of our cards have impact or double damage or anything like that. So and then if the reveal card has 1 or less energy, sideline the chosen character and place the reveal card on top of your deck. So like the only way like I could find like you could find like a negative resource is that like you have the Torimon, which is the specified slot, which is why we're running it. So activate main, you can switch to resting, place the top card of your deck face down underneath this character, and then when sideline, look at the cards underneath this, add a 1 to your hand and place the remaining in your sideline. So if you need to get rid of this, if you need to pop this to be able to get the when sideline effect, you can do that, but like it's just kind of a little silly. So other than that, we have Strip of Beach, which we're playing 2 copies of. It gets us a card draw, and then also double energy, which is quite nice, and then our special trigger, which is release. So when you're using this card to reveal any number of cards in your hand, if the combined total of the Bomber Affinity cards revealed is 3 or more, reduce the AP cost by 1. one. It doesn't have to be unique names, which is fine. So you can just be 3 of the same dude, and then just choose a character with 5k BP or less and sideline it. So just generally like an easy like it's a pretty easy thing to reach with how many bomber cards we have. We have 19 cards right now. You'll find 3 pretty easy, and that's also an action too, which means you get your additional effects from it. So in general, there's a lot of removal, and this deck is a little bit more of like sequencing and make sure you get the right pieces. No real impact on the deck means that you kind of do fall behind at times, but I do think this is a really interesting deck, and I do appreciate it existing in this game, and we'll see if it does anything. I'm not 100% convinced yet, but I do like playing it. So here's the build there. And then our other blue deck is the specified slot. So you did see a little bit of them, but this one really kind of amplifies how many of those you're playing in the deck. Also, real quick, we do have a new card. So this is a new card that's released for us. For the release of this, that wasn't in Japan. So this is Gone Freak. When attacking, reveal any number of cards in your hand. If the number of specified slot of affinity cards with unique names among them are on your field 4 or more, choose up to 1 character in your field gains impact 1. So it's a little bit slow, a little bit clunky at times, but you do get that kind of effect. And this is also, again, like a deck that you kind of have to see a lot of your good pieces. The fact that you have to have these specified slot cards is a little bit tricky at times, just because you just need them. You just need as many as you can. So to be able to get your effects. So we've got like the Gone. So there's a 4 cost, activate main if on frontline. Once per turn, reveal any number of cards in your hand, activate all abilities below. If you have the required numbers, the specified slot affinity cards with unique names among the revealed cards in your field. So 3 or more you get to draw, 4 or more this gains impact 1. So impact is pretty good. But you have to have 4 unique names, not just 4 different names, or 4 different cards with it, which is kind of asking for a lot at times. Killua, same kind of thing. So when attacking once per turn, you can reveal any of the cards. 2 or more, you get to draw a card. 4 or more, this gains damage too. So, which is still good. You get to raid with this one. I kind of wish this Gone was a raid. I'm not really sure why it wasn't. But also the 0 cost being the draw 1, trash 1 means that it's unlikely that we would have. It would have been pretty busted to have these. This be an impact target or a raid target for that. But I digress from there, especially because we got another Gone for it. But I do think like the entire thing is we just want to try to draw as many cards as we can just to make sure that we do have enough. I am playing risky dice in this one. I would never use the effect of it. This is more so just to have a different unique name card with specified slot, because you'll notice that a lot of these effects are dependent on having 4 or more, right? Bisky being able to get rid of a 4k or less, you need 4 or more specified slots in your hand. So because of that, I'm just playing as many different named ones. So we've got Torimon, which we've already talked about, Paladin's Necklace, which we're also playing in the bomber build, but choose 1 rated card in your opponent's field, and are your opponent's field on either player's field, place the top rated card into the owner's sideline and get to draw a card. So being able to get that removal, I think, is really great. And like being able to like unraid something does impact something too. So also like in this build, if they have like a weenie, like a 1k or 15k underneath, then you can like remove it, and then you get the removal a little bit easier, which is kind of nice. But then we also have Angel's Breath, which is another special from this one too, which we could play in the bomber deck, but then we lose out on our action 2s, which doesn't really make sense. Play 1 character with a field required energy and 1 AP cost from your sideline set to resting on your field, or perform raid with it. So being able to get back some pieces are really nice. So unfortunately, like some of these are rested and they're AP cost of 1. So there's not like that many cards that we want from that, but there are some. We could like play Gone and then we get the effect. It still has the same special trigger though, so it does get the removal of something. But just not being able to the best is to just perform raid with Killua essentially, which is still great to be able to push that up and get the effects for it. But again, we mostly need to run this card because it has specified slot, and we do need the unique name. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 unique names. So as long as you get 4 of them, 4 of the 5, you get all of your good effects. Strip of Beach, you always want this on your field. Again, it's a draw 1, and it's the 15 hand size I don't think ever comes up, but maybe it does. And then Risky Dice, again, we're just using this as another specified slot that can be on the energy line like Torimon too. So that's kind of the build here. It's again, like pun intended, it's a little specific for what you want set up, but you do get some good pressure with like this impact 1 Gone. These can be pretty easy to get set up once you get them, but you do need to set up and find these 4 pieces for it. So I think there's a lot of different builds that can be either better or different with this, but this is my current build with it as well. So jumping now to the purple decks, these I'll be honest. I think purple is the weakest color for Hunter x Hunter, especially like if you compare it to like what purple's doing in Bleach, where that they have like so many good stuff going on. They have so much removal potential, so much of like using their sideline as a resource. I think it's just kind of night and day comparing the two of them. But we do get a new card for the Zoldyck family, which I think is really important for kind of how this loop works. And they have a good amount of pressure. I think that this deck is a little bit better than the Phantom Troupe, but I will definitely have to jump back and forth and talk for him. So we're going to go over the Zoldyck first. The only raid card we have is Illumi. So raid for Illumi and then damage 2. So being able to beat damage 2 is not too bad. And when played, choose up to one of your opponent's characters. You gain draw 2 if the chosen character is sidelined until the end of the turn. So the idea is that you choose something and then you attack with damage 2. So if they have like a little blocker that's easy for them to block with, or if they to get rid of around this damage 2, then you can draw 2 cards or deal 2 damage kind of idea. So it's all right. I don't think it really comes up that often, but it's just a card that you can raid into, so that's kind of important for it. But the kind of main new card again is this Killua. So it says this: when attacking, if a character on your opponent's field has been sidelined this turn, it gains plus 1000 PP till the end of the turn. And then also activate main once per turn. You can activate this ability. If a character on your opponent's field has been sidelined this turn, you can move this character to the other line. So what you can do is that you can have it like in the back line, you can have it providing energy, and then we can use this kind of nice little combo that we have with Zeno and Silva. So Zeno says activate main if on the front line, switch to resting, choose one character with 4k BP or less on your opponent's front line and sideline it, and then you place this character into your removal area. So what that means is that you can have this in the front line. You can use the effect to remove something 4k or less, and then from there too, you get to move your Killua up from the back line into the front line. You'd be able to attack with it, and it'd be 4k for the turn for free. But not only that, but then if you also played the Silva, so when played, choose up to one character in your opponent's field, it gains if the chosen character is sidelined, add up to one Zoldyck family affinity card other than Silva from your sideline to your hand until the end of the turn. So that means, all right, so the full combo, the full thing is that you already have this Killua in the back. You push Zeno up to the front line, so it's active at the start of your turn. You use its effect, but first you play Silva, so which means that you choose the target you want to get rid of with your Zeno, and then Zeno pops itself, removes the card, and then Silva's effect, since the card is removed, you can add Zeno back into your hand, put it into your back line, so you can use it for another removal next turn, and then you also moved at this Killua to do an attack as a 4k, so you don't really miss out on a 4k attack. So it gets there, right? You see where all the pieces are moving. It's also, if you've seen like the anime, it's thematic to how like their finisher move kind of works as they team up together. So I think it's really thematic. I think it's really cool. And I think this Killua existing makes this deck a lot better than what it was released at in Japan too. So I think that's part of it as well. Last kind of good card is the Silva 5-drop as well. So this is action 2, impact 1, which is great. And then place 2 cards from your hand into the sideline. This character gains snipe. So you're able to just attack into something as a 4k, impact 1 as well. And that removal and damage is pretty nice too. So only issue is that it's a little bit slow because you have to put it in the back and then you push it up later. And then you get the impact 1. So it's not like a immediate impact for it, but it's really nice. Last thing I want to mention is the special trigger for this deck. So choose one character with 3k or less BP in your opponent's front line and sideline it. If there are 3 or more Zoldyck family affinity cards are on your field, 5k or less BP. So we have a good amount of Zoldyck family. I don't think that'll be an issue for how this is going to work. And then we also like most of the deck is these. So I mean, if you're building 3 energy, right? The only issue is the only card that we don't is the Finks, which is like the draw 1, sideline 1, which we kind of need. The rest of these cards are Zoldyck family, so you're almost always going to be able to use this, so it's not really a big deal. So it's kind of nice for just a generic 5k or less removal for it. So this is the build. I haven't had as much experience as I want with it, but I do kind of like this combo, and I would like to do a little bit more experimentation with it. So lastly, we do have the Phantom Troupe one, and I really kind of see what they were going for with this deck. It's just a shame at how it kind of pulls off at times. So the entire deck kind of like their idea for what this revolves around is the Crollo, right? So this is like a raid target, has impact 1, and when played, choose up to one other character with Phantom Troupe affinity on your field other than Crollo and activate its when played ability. So you like, that's exciting, right? That sounds like there's some really cool things that this can do. And honestly, like the best one you can do is this Phaeton. I probably pronounced this wrong. My apologies. But when played, choose up to one character in your opponent's front line. It loses 2k BP until the end of the turn. If you have 4 or less life, 3k BP instead. So you kind of get the benefit of this. This gets like some potential immediate removal. It's a double energy. It's 2 action points, which is kind of stinky. And it's also 4 cost, which is important because of some other abilities. But you can use this with Crollo, so you can say, oh, I use Crollo, I use the ability of the Phaeton, and hopefully I'm at like 4 or less life, so I can get rid of a 3k, right? Honestly, like 4 for like a impact 1, get rid of a 3k, not too shabby, to be honest, for 1 action point. But you do need a little bit of setup. Some additional cards that we could get this ability from are the Nobunga. So this says when played, if you have 3 or more Phantom Troupe affinity cards on your field, you get to choose up to one character in your opponent's front line. It loses 1000 BP until the end of the turn. We have Shalnark as well. So again, when played, play up to one character with 3 or less required energy, 1 AP cost, and Phantom Troupe other than this from your, or the Shalnark from your sideline set to resting on your field. At the start of your end phase, sideline that character. So essentially what you're able to do is this is able to get like another when played ability out if you don't have it, which is really nice. So for example, honestly, like this is like the good backup one, right? This is for the 3 cost one. This is the good one, since it gets rid of a something loses 1,000 and it doesn't care if it's like a 15k or more kind of a deal. So what you can do is you can use this Shalnark. This can just refresh all of your when played abilities as well. Or like when sideline effects, so you can draw a card off this one. So it's just pretty good. We also have our Crollo. This is our color trigger. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, reveal up to one Phantom Troupe other than Crollo, then place the remaining the bottom of your deck, and then you get to sideline a card if you added one, which is also good off playing off the color trigger too. So you play a purple with 2 or less. So you essentially you do have some good stuff is what I'm saying for it. And then the other kind of weird thing, like, I think like the only issue with this is that we just need so much kind of setup for a lot of these abilities, right? Like sure, Crollo is really good, but you have to have this Phaeton out, and also you have to have less life. And if you have to set up, like, you know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of kind of moving parts for it. And there's like some synergies with it, but sometimes you're missing a piece and it kind of falls flat. So the other cards we have for it, we have Skill Hunter, Bandit Secret. So choose one character on your opponent's front line. It loses 3,000 BP until the end of the turn. If Crollo is on your field, choose up to one character with 3 or less required energy and Phantom Troupe affinity on your field other than Crollo, and activate its when played ability. So what you get to do is that you can use Crollo's effect. Sorry, they're 3 or less, right? Yeah. So you can use this if you have Crollo out, if you have Nobunga, so you give something minus 1k, so it means you got rid of a 4k or less, which is pretty good. Or if you have Shalnark out, you can use Shalnark's effect, and then you can play out a card too. The other thing about Shalnark is that you can get back a character. Like I think you can get back Crollo. You can move Crollo up. Or like you can generate more energy if you need it, which is really nice. So I think that's part of this card too, where you can play the Pokunda like on 3. Let's say this died already. Play it from your sideline, and then you're generating 4 energy, and then from there you're able to play up your 4 cost kind of thing. So I think there's some combos for this deck, and it's just kind of like a little bit of like, oh, use their one play and their one play. You just kind of need that setup. So lastly, we got the Hisoka impact 1 when played. Choose up to one character on your opponent's energy line and move it to their front line. If the front line is full, you may choose one character on both the front line and energy line and swap them instead. So originally I thought this card was kind of bad, and it still could be kind of bad, but there are like a lot of decks that just play out like their double energy 1-drops, and then they just sit them there for the rest of the game. So to be able to move those to the front line and they lose out on 2 energy, and they just like get this like piddly like 15k, that does kind of mess up a couple plans in some scenarios. So it's definitely something I need to try out more. It's something where Crollo can also use the effect of Hisoka as well, so you can bring up their energy. So they have 4 bodies on board, but they're back on their, like, they lose out on their energy curve, which might be impactful in some scenarios. So it also means that you can use like Hisoka to move up something off the back line, and then you can play Nobunga and like having stuff on the front line means that you can interact with your removal cards too, which can come up. So I don't know. I think this deck can do some neat little combos, but sometimes I feel like it's just not doing enough. So last card is Scarily Fast Chop. You can use this. It just loses something like 2,000. So again, you can use the Ahsoka, and then you can use this card. But you'll see like a lot of these are like 2 or 3 card combos, which if you don't see those cards, you just kind of fall short, I feel like, a little bit. So anyways, this is the build. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if anyone can really crack and do really well with the Phantom Troupe, because I feel like it's just missing out on a little bit something, or it's a little bit too specific for you to get the real value that I think other decks get for like usually like 1 card combos are a little bit less set up. So anyways, those are all my decks that we went over today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys got some just some thoughts brewing. Obviously, there's not only one way to build a lot of these. There's a lot of decision making, and I've been having a lot of fun testing and just theory crafting with these as well. So that's going to be it for me. Again, if you guys want any of these deck lists, you can check them out in the description. Check them out on my website, Eggman Events, and good luck for all of your future pre-releases, releases, and boxes and everything else in Arena. I hope you get some good stuff. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.